What's up, everybody? It's Sebastian Boy, the approved guy. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Asa Paul Sealy, that branding guy out of Miami, Florida. Asa is a serial entrepreneur, business consultant, culture advocate, and he has several businesses that he has headed up. He's hailing out of Trinidad and Tobago. Asa is an old friend of mine and a current confidant. It's a blessing and an honor to have Asa with us today. Asa, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today, my brother?
I'm blessed, Sebastian. Thank you for having me on.
Definitely, my bro. So, Asa, if you would, I know I just did a little intro, but I'm sure that didn't do any justice to you. So, if you would just tell us a little bit about your background, if you would elaborate a little more, and then we'll just let this conversation flow.
Well, as you said, I'm Trinity to the bone. So I do hail from the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and came over here to college where I had the pleasure of meeting Sebastian. Played soccer on the same soccer team at college, and we have been friends ever since. I have through my years in the United States have managed to be overly blessed in terms of gaining access to some really influential relationships that have translated really well for me. Working with high profile artists and celebrities to major brands across the board, really elevating multicultural content and promoting my culture to the masses. So I have been blessed enough to be in a space where I get up every morning and follow my passion. Personally, I have two beautiful kids, Sophia Maribel and Jax Carter, who really define my why each day. And I'm really blessed to be here. And again, thank you for the opportunity to be on your show.
Well, again, thank you for joining. Well, I'd like to kind of start off as I do on these segments, which is basically having to do with purpose. So on my channel, I talk about financing and business, and one of the things that I believe is very important is to include purpose as part of the conversation. And for that, I reference a Bible verse, which I'm going to bring on the screen, and then let's just kind of discuss this verse together. So Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10 says that for we are God's handiwork created in Christ Jesus to do good works which God prepared in advance for us to do. Now I have my own interpretation of what that means, but when you see that, when you read that, how does that strike you? What does that bring to your heart or to your mind?
Well, it's interesting that this would be the quote that you put up, because this is a daily conversation that I have with God. Ensuring that I am pleasing Him and I am following in His footsteps and in His light, to do His works. So many times I realize that I have at so many points in my life, um, thought that I was making all of these things happen on my own. And it's only, I guess after I hit 40 and I had the ability to really reflect, and through my increased spiritual connection with God, I have been able to appreciate that He had always been present. And I have gone from, keeping access to myself to a place of sharing. And so this Bible verse really speaks to me in terms of, I don't know if you know Thomas Merton, and his journey, but Thomas Merton speaks about, that we believe that we're doing good, and we pray to God that indeed we are doing His will, and that's really in the forefront of everything that I do now. and I just try to make sure that I'm pleasing God in all of my actions, through my purpose, that I have found the right road, following the right light, because the devil shows up in many ways, and you have to be able to discern when he is present, and when he is trying to distract you from the good that you are really set on earth to do.
Amen to that, bro. So I'm gonna elevate this conversation and I'm gonna challenge you as much as I can. And if I push too much, it's okay. Just tell me that, hey, lay off.
I'm
Okay.
taking you back to college days then. Let's go.
We'll see. Maybe back to the womb. Who knows? So when I read this and it says that we are God's handiwork, that tells me that God created us. He constructed us with a purpose, right? Created in Christ Jesus to do good works. So that means that is our purpose. A lot of people are walking around, even Christians, believers, are asking, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? And I think that we all have the same purpose, which is to do good works. Now, the way we do that is different because we all have different gifts and talents and contributions, ways that we can contribute to the good works that the Lord has set and created for us to do. But the next phrase is what's really interesting, which is that He prepared them in advance for us to do, which means that there are good things that God has prepared for us, and they're waiting for us to step into them. There are conversations that are waiting to be had. There are relationships that are waiting to be created. There are activities that are waiting to for us to be participate in, right? And it's just a matter of, are we aligned with God's will so that we can live in that. And if we are in purpose and we are aligned, then we'll step into those predetermined, predestined good works that He created in advance for us to do. But if we're not in alignment, then we'll miss it. It'll be the
There's
plan
a
will be right
delay.
there. Go ahead.
There's a delay in getting to that milestone that he's already established in his plan and his in our life's journey. And that's what I've realized. If I had been in alignment a lot earlier, a lot sooner, this peace that I'm experiencing now, or this fluidity that I'm in, it's in your time, as you reference the gifts that we are given. We have also been given the will, and in that will to decide what our next steps are. It sometimes takes you off course
Yeah.
and delays you getting to a place where you're supposed to be, that was
Yeah.
created for you, that space that's just going to give you the ultimate peace that we are all searching for.
Yeah. Agree. 100%. So now it also means that when we do have those delays, when we do have those challenges, when we do go through obstacles in life, that those are actually parts of the journey that is helping to mold us and prepare us for the good works that He has. Because everything that happens is for the better, is for the good. Even though during the difficult times, during the challenges, it's very difficult to see that and accept that because, of course, you're going through it, right? So, the point of that is that there's a process, right? There's a transformation that occurs that we all have to experience, and either we're going to elevate, transform, and become the best version of ourselves on a journey to become the best version of ourselves, or we're going to remain the same and basically die and serve no purpose. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people living life like that. Um, so one of the things that, the reason I like to have this conversation is because I want my audience to be able to hear from people who have had successes, had failures, had challenges, had obstacles, have been able to overcome them, and through their relationship with God, right? And it doesn't have to be that you're a Christian. It could be that you're a different even faith, but through your seeking and through your willingness to endure and push through those hard times, have overcome and now are experiencing another level of reality, right? So if you would tell us a little bit about, your journey, maybe some of the obstacles you faced, maybe some of the wins and wars that have molded you now to become, the person that you are, and then we can land on some of the current works and projects that you're that you're promoting and that you're really a part of today.
Well, speaking about the challenges that I've experienced in life, it takes you all the way back to childhood, right? From being someone that may have been deemed well off, and not wanting to seem that I didn't have to work for anything because my parents would have provided. I adopted a crutch from very early on in terms of running away from the blessings that God had already set up for me, right? Through birthing me into a family that took care of everything. And I created situations that I struggled, and I learned later on in life that I was my biggest obstacle.
Mm,
But being a youth and not knowing any better, um, you grow from that, and leaving Trinidad and coming up to the United States, it was a challenge for me because culturally it was a new place. I was alone. Not that I didn't want that situation, but I wasn't prepared for what I started to experience. And I got into a position in the United States where I was influenced by a lot of material things. And through that influence, it distracted me from the purpose of why I did come to the US. I stopped being devoted to playing soccer. I changed my major. I started to explore all of the distractions around me. I saw friends that were more well off than I was, and that put that in perspective, where I realized that maybe I wasn't so well off, compared to these individuals that were had different types of a level of access. Their parents would have been in the U.S. already. They may have been born over here. They were driving nicer cars. They had more money. They were going to the clubs. Like that was foreign to me. So when I saw that my peers had that level of access, I'm like, I'm not playing soccer. I'm not gonna, I wanna speed down the road to figure out how I can get there as fast as I could.
yeah.
And those distractions really took me away from that foundation that I came up here with, that focus that I had when I first landed in the US. And it took me away from, but also prepared me for the blessings that were to come,
Mm,
because it also gave me a sense of drive, a grit, an understanding of the streets really early, that I had not had in Trinidad.
mm,
And luckily for me, I was successful enough that I came out, you know, on the other side, a better person, because I was able to reflect and identify where my decisions took me off course, and quickly, recalculated where I needed to be and got back on course. But the,
yeah.
the number of times that I've come off course, I mean, I couldn't count on two hands. But it has shaped me and molded me into being the best Asa version of Asa possible. And that's what I strive to every day, to be a better person than I was the day before. And I've found a lot more peace, and you would hear me refer to peace a lot, because that's something that I can't explain that feeling of when you're at peace. You know how everything else kind of just falls into place.
Yeah.
You just give it all to God, you know. And those challenges, have taken me from Trinidad through college, through work, the different jobs that I've had, the different projects that I've worked on. the different people that I've had the opportunity to mentor. Those come from the experiences that I've had, and being able to share with others so that they kind of get it a lot sooner. Not that they're going to get it from me, but I think the messenger comes, delivers his messages through all different vehicles. And I am proud to be one of those, vehicles that delivers messages to people in need. So yeah, just remain in a blessed place right now, but definitely my challenges have helped shape who I am today.
Amazing. So I believe this year, 2025, was it this year or last year? Did you receive an award from the city of Miami or from an accolade of businessman of the year? I thought I saw
That was
something
this
like that.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was this year. And that's coming off of, the accolades and stuff like that. I feel like when you don't go looking for them, they kind of like, here you go.
Yeah.
And that was something that I didn't go after. I've had the opportunity to have some really really cool clients along the way, and through my agency, I had secured this relationship with this pretty big Caribbean brand called Carib Brewery. Pretty popular beer, a number of different products that they make in the beer and kind of like cider space.
Hmm.
And and at the end of last year, I decided it was my time was up there, or I guess we both decided it. And exiting that corporate relationship, which really carried me through COVID, because outside of that, I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, doing my own thing. I got an opportunity with them to work on a pretty big project, as they had decided that they were going to take a Caribbean brand global. So I was able to work with them on that global execution. Had a chance to work with DJ Khaled, Shanseya, Kerwin Dubois, pretty big names in the music industry to relaunch this brand in the global markets, which would include India, UK, throughout the region, in the Caribbean, and of course in the US. And at the end of my 5 year stint, I had to ask myself, now, what are you going to do? I'm coming off of a recent divorce, after being married for 18 years. And, I was in a position where I'm still providing for my kids and my ex wife. And I'm also now having to provide for myself. Why would someone leave or exit a comfortable position or place, when it's more needed now than at any other time? But I also had a stronger relationship with God,
Hmm.
and my spirit was down when I was in that space, in that comfortable space. So I had to challenge myself and again give it all to God. And through my men's retreats, through my conversations with my priest at my church, and my family. I have again been blessed with the ability to pivot. And at that time, I decided that I was going to launch a tech company, which would leverage the relationships and network that I was able to build over a decade with Carib, you know, to assist other Caribbean brands that were looking to enter into a global marketplace and scale their business. So I was able to launch Trade Truck USA, which is a matchmaking platform that allows you to, as a brand, be evaluated and be matched with a network of service providers to almost ensure your success when you're entering a global market. We started with the United States, because that's where I'm based, but we have since expanded to include Southeast Asia, Africa, India, Dubai, and other emerging markets. With the new tariffs that has been launched in the U.S., the U.S. is not as an attractive an entry point for these some of these brands. So they're looking for alternatives, and we've
Hmm.
been able to again pivot to include these through relationships that I would have established prior. And then here comes this award for me leaving corporate, relaunching my advertising agency, maintaining a lot of the clients that I would have had pre-COVID, and then launching this new company, Trade Trek USA, to position Caribbean brands for success.
Amazing, brother. So, I just want to go down the list of some of the brands that and businesses that you have. So, and I'm not sure if it's in the order as you created them, as I see them here listed. But there's IFOS Agency, uh, and then is it Print Promo, Trade Tech USA, as you mentioned, that branding guy, the Strpd Club, and then Caribbean American Heritage of Florida. So, if you could just in a brief one or two sentences tell us, what's IFOS Agency first, and then we'll go down the list.
Well, IFOS Agency is pretty close to my heart. It's my daughter's name spelled backwards. Her name is Sophia. So I wanted to create something that I would never run away from, and that is really the core of my business. That's my advertising agency, where I represent Caribbean brands in the U.S., well, in North America. Caribbean Airlines would be one of my most reputable clients. I maintain that relationship with them for over 15 years, where I handle all of their market execution throughout the US. And I've had the pleasure of maintaining Carib as a client. Before I actually went to work for them, they were a client, Digicel, and other big name brands that are looking for more assistance when they're operating or targeting the Caribbean American diaspora. So that's IFOS agency. Print Promo is my printing and branding agency, and that just as the name states, I print and I promote. So anything in a specialty item you want to give your clients gifts, I'll be the guy you call. You want to put your logo on anything, I'll be the guy you call. So Print Promo really specializes in that space. And then we have Caribbean American Heritage Florida, and Caribbean American Heritage Florida is my non-for-profit. In 2006, I had the opportunity to work with a group out of Washington, D.C., the Institute of Caribbean Studies, and they were instrumental in getting June recognized as Caribbean American Heritage Month. The non for profit was since started to support a more national initiative across the US, where we have various non for profits set up to, promote events, promote nationals, and really make June a month of celebrating Caribbean culture. So we have a lot of programming that happens in the month of June. Not that we don't do anything outside of June.
Yeah.
But Caribbean American Heritage Month has been established for me since 2006, and I continue to really hold that organization close to heart. I mentioned Trade Trek as the matchmaking
Yeah.
platform for Caribbean brands. That branding guy is it's my alter ego. Um,
Okay.
uh, when and that was really launched when Instagram was pretty popular. Everyone wanted to grow to 10,000 followers and then grow to 100,000 followers. And during that time, everyone would refer to me as that branding. Asa, that branding guy, because I've always been in that space. And I said, you know what, let me adopt that. I thought it was pretty clever, the name, and I really rolled off the tip of my tongue. I was like, you know what, let me coin that phrase. And so I established a DBA under the agency and really positioned myself as a consultant outside of a business owner, someone that you can come to. You may not need a company menu of services, but you might need someone to just kind of like walk you through different projects that you would have, and that's where that branding guy comes in. Really focused on helping you brand yourself. the Strip Club. That is my newly launched podcast. I launched it in June of this year, and it's been doing pretty well. It's a safe space for men. We discuss more taboo topics. You would see us really peeling back the layers, discussing topics that you would not typically hear men talk about. And it's a real vulnerable space. So I would invite everyone to check that out on the stripclub.com, STRPD club.com. You know, men love a strip club. This is a different kind of strip club. And it's really a place that you can go and learn a little bit more and connect with men who are able to um, really be vulnerable and share their story. And for me, the platform, I have been sharing my journey, my healing journey, reflecting on the relationship with my father and how that impacted me as a man, and have gone from my dad's relationship, all through my life up until my divorce, and in reflecting what part I played in making that relationship kind of like dissipate into something that was void of love and emotion, and not wanting to make those errors again. Also sharing with other men who can relate to being in those positions, and hopefully either save a marriage or create a space where you can have a conversation with your significant other about your feelings, because I don't think we as men get that opportunity or that grace. There's a more demand of or expectation that comes from being a man. And yeah, I think that's the list that you have named off. I don't think I have anything else. Do I? I think that's it. But
I think that, well, that's what I see. Um, but that's quite a lot. That's quite a lot. That's more than most. And you're a busy man, have your hands full, a family man, man of God. Um, I'd like to, we're coming close to wrapping up, but I'd like to dig a little deeper and ask you if you could be vulnerable on in it at the moment, and tell us maybe one of the, or if not the most challenging moment that you've experienced, and more importantly, what was the process, or what helped you to overcome or get through that, get out of that, and now, and then start your journey towards wholeness and healing. um because again, it's all good that we all strive for success and glory, but most of us only see what it looks like to be, on stage, and all the accolades, and it's easy to just assume, oh, that guy's lucky, or he's blessed, or people always say, oh, I want what that guy has, right? Whether it's an
yeah,
athlete or an actor, but we don't necessarily realize what that person had to do, or what they had to go through to get what they have. And so it's important, I think, for people to really understand whatever they're going through, whatever struggles they have, not to give up, not to quit, to push through. And I think when we share our experiences like this, it could help other people to maybe see that light, or even um, allow, use some of your experience, or wisdom to help them on their journey. And so, if you're willing, please.
well, my biggest challenge would also be considered my biggest failure, and that is getting divorced. And it is not something that I planned, nor it was something that I wanted. But having to overcome that, um, and seeing my kids still deal with it, it destroys me weekly. Every week, every week I have to rebuild. Every week I have to, when I my kids leave me every other Sunday, and and a piece of me literally, I feel it gone for an entire week. Um, and a piece of me leaves me every week, and I still have to figure out how to continue. I still have to figure out um, how to make things happen, how to be creative. I have to dig deep through some real dark times to find the light. Um, and it's really, really difficult. It still is very difficult. And that's why one of the reasons that I share on the strip club, because it's also therapy for me. It allows me to speak about my feelings, and at the same time try to help others, because I wouldn't wish this feeling on anyone else, right? To your point of having success and not knowing what that person has gone through to get there. I had to sit down and reflect on why I got divorced. And in going to my ex-wife and telling her that I was unhappy, was the biggest thing for me, because I had created this life that everything appeared perfect, and I had packaged it and branded it really well. So a lot of people, when they heard that I got divorced, they're like, "What? You? Like, you guys were like the perfect couple."
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I was dying,
Mm.
not being able to speak my truth and to say how I felt. I didn't have that space. I didn't feel comfortable enough in that space, because I felt that if I did, this would have actually been the outcome.
Yeah.
So I delayed for 18 years, or 16 years, sharing how I would feel in different situations, till it got me near deathly ill. I wasn't eating. I was just kind of like stopped going out, stopped interacting with people. And I'm not saying this for a pity party, but that's just what I created for myself. And finally, when I came out and I said something, you know, I was hit with the, well, I don't want to be with you, and that was a hard pill to swallow.
Mm.
When for 18 years, all I had done, or I thought I was doing, was to create a safe space for someone to for us to build a family. And again, to see my kids have to go through it is where, as a man, I feel like I failed. And getting out of that feeling has and is still the biggest challenge that I am facing, with all of those companies that I have and
Yeah.
all of the success that you could reference. I still feel less than, and I'm reminded of it every week. A
Mm.
lot of my friends said, "Oh no, the kids will be fine. They'll understand. But I'm not fine."
Yeah.
And I don't know if those companies are just distractions every 2 weeks, of from me having to deal with my feelings. But it is definitely, I definitely have moments where I'm alone, and I'm enjoying those moments now more than ever, because I'm being honest with myself. And I think that that's a huge part of life, is when you're actually honest with yourself, and you can experience significant growth at that time. And to bring it back to your original point of getting to that destination that God has already planned for you, it's that peace.
Yeah. All right, brother. Well, thank you, man. Thank you for sharing that. I felt I felt you. I felt the pain, and I felt the, your love for your children, and I can only pray for that for you, to have strength, and that God will just carry you through this, and out of it will come strength, growth, blessings for both you, your children, and your ex-wife, and
Amen.
other people can learn as you are putting yourself out there. So for anyone that has been watching, if you want to continue to follow Asa, the new podcast is the Strpd Club. um, is it at on YouTube is at the Strpd Club, STRPD Club.
Yeah, it's at the Strip Club on YouTube.
Okay. But the website's the stripclub.com. You can go there, and then from there go to the channel. But for everyone, this is this just for men, or are women welcome?
I launched it as a safe space for men, but from the feedback that I've gotten, the comments that I've gotten, the DMs, the outreach, it's been from both sides. And while women are very surprised that a man is sharing,
Mm-hmm.
they're also very open in letting in comparing their experiences and challenges with what I'm going through. So it's not just for men. It's a safe space, but you're going to get a man's perspective.
Got it. Got it. All right, awesome, man. Well, thank you again, for spending time with us, for spending time with me. It was great to see you and to talk with you. Hopefully, we can do this again sometime soon. I'll definitely continue to watch and learn from what you're sharing on your podcast, and I urge everyone to like, subscribe, and share Asa's new podcast, The Strip Club. All right, brother. Anything else you'd like to say to the audience, just as a word of wisdom or encouragement to any person out there, entrepreneurs, people that are going through it, life, and trying to be successful business owners?
Well, I would say, I would say that you just need to be true to yourself. Keep God first, and trust in His plan for you. Really lean on your faith. Keep your family close, and every day is a blessing and another opportunity to get it done and to make a difference and to live your purpose. And don't run away from it.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Well, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Seb.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope that this video and this interview was of value to you. If it was, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and let someone know who will let someone know about this content, about these conversations. Make sure you check out Asa. We'll talk to you again soon. God bless you, and take great care.